So the entire advertising industry in our culture is completely based on the foundation that it hopes that we will be willfully ignorant. It hopes that we will not do the research into what we're eating. Because if we do, we'll stop eating a lot of the things we eat, right? So like, you know, if you like Tim Tams and you want to keep eating Tim Tams, you will be actively conscious about not reading the recipe on the back and not listening to anyone ever tell you anything bad about Tim Tams. You will just deny it because you want to have that little kind of little pleasure zone thing and eat palm oil and kill the orangutans. And so, like, but you don't want to know that. You just don't want to know, right? You don't want to know what's happening in the jungle of Borneo. You just want a Tim Tam, right? That's the example. All right? You don't want that person to tell you. It's like you don't want that vegan to tell you that they're ruining your life because they're talking about orangutans, and you just want to eat Tim Tams, you know, and deep fry them and all that. You know, so this is a lot of the advertising industry. You can go into cars, you can go into petroleum, you can go into this sort of stuff. The whole thing is hoping that we're going to be lazy, complacent slobs and not really look at what we're doing and how we're contributing to negativity on the planet. So sensitivity and deny the willful ignorance and get informed. But not so informed that you become like a compromised mess and, you know, want to self-abort. You know, just be mindful of how much you expose it to and how much. You don't want to grow too much at once because you might spontaneously combust or something like that. So just be mindful of that. So and be mindful of people who want to be willfully ignorant because it's pretty easy to make them angry. Yeah. So yeah, we all want to be vegan. We're all getting there, and we're just trying to wake up as much as we can. All right. So yeah, again, it comes down to what I've got written here: avoiding growth and evolution. So much of the time, we're going to look for ways to avoid growing. Growing's hard. It's easier to go to the pub than to come in here, in this room, and get exposed to this information. It's easy to stay home and watch reruns of Neighbours that you saw when you were 7 than do this. Like, there's so many other things you could do. Growing's real tough. It's tough stuff. But what you're going to get out of it is amazing because it helps everyone. It helps you. It helps your family. It helps you through time. It helps everything. But it's hard. It's really hard. So it's like it's amazing. I'm so inspired by people and all the time in this community and with these workshops and people who come to see me for treatments because everyone's being so brave, being exposed to all this sort of stuff because it's just tough. You know, because we're constantly bombarded with information that's very, very low fidelity and very distracting with the media or with what gambling and, you know, sports and stuff like that. Like, there's people in this country who are completely consumed with all their spare time onto like thinking about sport and talking about sport. You know, I've had friends move to Melbourne and have to learn about AFL just so that they can socialise at work. Yeah? Otherwise you're not going to have a social life because you don't actually understand what anyone's talking about, you know. And if you're going to talk about, you know, the link between willful ignorance and Tim Tams, people are not going to want to talk to you when you're talking about, you know, Jono's groin injury, you know. So it's like, it's this sort of thing. Yeah, people talk about someone's injury, you know, affecting their life, someone's shoulder injury. Has anyone got any questions? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we think that it's going to be hard learning? Why can't we just do it with wonderment and joy and and why do we have to have the knocks to be able to have those upward kind of revelations or I'm sure there's an easier way.
Well, often we have a belief system or a disbelief system. And if you start messing around with someone's belief system, often it's going to make them uncomfortable because we develop an idea about what's real and what's not real, what we believe, what we don't believe. And if you're open enough, it can be really beautiful to have that belief system shattered. But some people, if they believe a particular thing, and then they're shown something which goes against that, which is beautiful and uplifting and amazing, they'll get angry. And they're not angry at the person who showed them the thing, they're angry at the fact, they're angry at themselves, they're angry at the fact that they've gone for so long thinking that something was real that maybe isn't real. And it's more the fact that when someone's belief system gets manipulated by a real experience, it creates a negative response because we almost view a lot of our experiences through a lifetime as an investment into a status point where we think we understand things, and then we realise that whole investment was void. And often that creates a negative response before it creates a positive response. And that's why we need to be looking at our education system and bringing a lot more of what we're talking about tonight when it comes to spiritually verified information. For example, a Steiner school is going to teach children a lot more about biodynamics and working with moon cycles and growing vegetables and nutrition and sacred geometry and sacred mathematics. And someone who goes to a regular school might then go to a Steiner teacher college and go, oh my God, there's all this beautiful way of learning, and I didn't go to one of these schools when I was a child. Like, this sucks. Yeah? So and I've had a lot of friends go to like Steiner teacher training college in Melbourne and go, oh my God, I wish I went to school like this when I was a kid. So you go through that kind of disdain and letdown before you can go through the euphoria often. And so it's more looking at ground zero with the education system. The education system is so much of it is manipulated by desire for everything to be backed up by the scientific method, but also desire for things to be training children to compete with each other and training people that the world is a threatening environment, and that so much of the structure of the school system is wanting people to be a part of the kind of production line in mainstream life, and and especially a hyper-militarized society as well, to kind of move people more and more to the idea that nationalism is the big thing, and that's all that matters, and that refugees are the enemy. So there's a lot of agenda there, and I think a lot of it is people who've been under the system waking up have a negative response because they feel like they've been fooled. Yeah, and they don't know who to blame. Yeah, because they know that everyone who was teaching them was doing their best. Parents are doing their best, the teachers at school are doing their best. And that's a tricky thing with a lot of the regulation in our education system, is a lot of the teachers quit because they're so sick of the things they're not allowed to say to the kids. And they get checked up on this, and it's hardcore. And it's worse in some other countries.
And we're also conditioned to, if you don't know something, then you're considered wrong. Like on an exam, if you don't know something, you're wrong. So intrinsically, we would feel if we haven't learned something, then we must be less than, we must not be what we are. We're not good enough already intrinsically. So that's why growth can be difficult, because there's a thought form that people feel that if they don't know something, then they must be less than.
Yeah. Even the structure of an exam, of this kind of right or yes or no answer, right or wrong, and also the entire structure of the exam essentially is under that psychiatric model of grouping people into all being the same, and actually everyone actually is very different in the way we learn, the way we express, and the way we understand information is so different. So actually having an exam in that sort of structure is pretty
Hideous.
It's hideous. Yeah. Thank you.
That's just
yes.
With the kinesiology, I'm interested. The willful ignorance, it's kind of like an avoidance of even testing yourself on something. But is it possible for willful ignorance in an extreme cases to override your body's innate knowledge? So if you were muscle testing yourself, being willfully ignorant to a point where you would change your body's instinctive knowledge about a response to the topic.
Muscle testing doesn't work if you've got an agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah? So if this is why muscle testing someone else is great, and muscle testing someone else and speaking so fast that they can't actually understand what you're saying. Yeah? This is the thing. This is it. Because the muscle testing question, the really cool thing with muscle testing is you can test it on a machine like a special reading machine, like the electroencephalograph, where the muscle response actually reads on a dial. And you can be like, should I eat potatoes today? And I go, bing, yes. Or it will just sit there and be no, right? So you can actually read this, but you can be like, about to ask the question, should I eat potatoes today? You'd be like, should I? And I go, bing. You start to ask the question, the answer is yes. It's intention, right? It's not so much the actual physically uttered words. And so much of the interesting thing when you get into kinesiology is you're about to ask a question, the muscle will go on the body, and you're like, cool. And you can go to the next question. And the person there is thinking, you didn't even ask a question. And you've already gone to the next question. So you can actually stay ahead of the analytical mind of the person completely, because their muscle response is coming out of their body, not out of their mind, right? So it's really easy to tell when someone's messing with it as well.
But for doing it yourself...
When you're doing it yourself, if you've got an agenda, you're compromised.
So anyone with conditioning on a certain thing...
Yeah, if you're... Because the muscle responses, you can mess around with it. It's about becoming sensitive enough to know that when you're just really fast, sometimes your muscle's going to lock, sometimes it's going to let go. And it's actually happening before you can actually think about it. A lot of it's practicing. This is how people do blood analysis and this sort of thing. So again, if you want to believe that it doesn't work, it's not real, or it doesn't exist, then basically you can just completely compromise the entire experiment on yourself. Yeah.
What does it mean when you muscle test and your muscles actually don't react to the test?
When there's no reaction?
Yeah.
Well, a no reaction is a no.
Okay.
The synaptic response, the alternative response, will register firm. Like the muscle will hold up. A reaction, like when the arm just goes down, like the one where you push on your arm, will just go down, is it's a no. It's a weak response is no, strong response is yes.
Okay.
Yeah.